solutions engineer at Data IQ. I'm also class of 2022, so last year's class. And before joining the IAA, I studied applied mathematics at UNC Chapel Hill. And after graduating from Chapel Hill, I worked as a QA web tester for about 1.5 years, and then came to the IAA. So it is great to meet you all. And yeah.
Thank you so much, Chad. I am not sure if Anna's with us, so I'm going to go ahead and jump to Keyur. So Keyur, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hello, everyone. I'm Keyur Shah. I graduated from MSA class of 2020, so right around when COVID hit us. I'm currently working for Chewy as a data scientist. Prior to joining MSA, I was back in India. I had a couple of years of work experience in the analytics domain, and I had a bachelor's and a master's in statistics prior to coming to the US and enrolling in the MSA. So yeah, great to meet all of you.
Thank you. All right, Erin.
Hi, everyone. Like Val mentioned, I was at the Institute yesterday, so I am currently sitting outside of a library after checking out of my hotel before going to the airport, so please excuse any background noise. But I am a data scientist at Fifth Third Bank. Before attending the Institute, I was a kindergarten teacher. So I was used to handling 24 pieces of data at a time, but took some classes on the side and had a great experience at the IAA from a non-traditional background. So it's great to be with you all.
Thank you. And Jonathan, how about you?
Hey everyone, I'm Jonathan Rice. I'm a senior data analyst at Pindo. It's a software company in Raleigh. And in my undergrad, I studied biology and math and a little bit of computer science, and thought I wanted to be a computational geneticist, and was working in a lab for a few years doing that work, and then came to the IAA to kind of pivot my career, and it did just that. So been working in the tech space ever since.
Excellent. Well, I invite my audience members to go ahead and enter any questions you'd like to ask of the alumni in the chat. But I have a few questions just to kind of get things started. So alumni, would you talk a little bit about maybe a skill that you learned or maybe honed while you were here at the IAA that you find yourself using all of the time in your work? And I guess we can go down in the same order as before. So Chad, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, definitely. So I think at the IAA, something that you learn and really get to hone and practice is presenting on your, insights and anything that you are able to, gather from your analysis. So that really came in handy, especially in my current job where mostly what I'm doing is presenting. So it's really good how you're able to practice a lot in a low stakes environment with other peers and classmates, but also with faculty, and they can tell you what exactly to work on, and they give you really good feedback, just to give you a better understanding of how best to move forward in presenting any of your insights. So yeah, that's something that I would say.
Awesome. Keyur, what would you say?
So for me, of course, IA provides all the data science and statistics and computer science related knowledge that you would want to use in a job. But for me personally, as an international student, what helped the most is the aspect of practicum and teamwork skills. That helped me really get acquainted with the American work culture and how things are done over there. So that was really helpful, and I would second Chad in saying that presentation skills is another thing that has helped me a lot.
All right, Erin.
Yes, I'll echo everything that's been said so far, but another specific skill that I honed at the IAA was to seek out and apply feedback from peers and from people that I've worked with, presented to. That has been very helpful in my current role. I'm not afraid of failure. You know, I'm trying to continually learn, and that really started at the IAA. So yeah, the feedback that's incorporated throughout the program is very applicable to my current growth and learning.
Nice. Jonathan, how about you?
I'd say I really learned how to learn new things. So you're getting a whole lot of information thrown at you in a short amount of time, and you're not going to pick up everything the first time you hear it, or maybe even the first way that you hear that information. So that's also something I get in my job every day. Of, you know, you're going to encounter new questions that you're being asked, new scenarios, new people that you're working with, and being able to just take a step back, think about the problem more holistically, and then learn what you need to do to get that thing done, even if you haven't done it before.
Awesome. I hear that a lot. It's good to hear somebody else point that out in particular. Okay, so we've got some really good questions coming in on the chat. So Sawyer asks, alumni, did you feel that there was enough academic and professional diversity in your cohort? Would any of you like to speak to that?
Yeah, I can start. I'd say yes for me, and I'm not sure exactly what you're looking for, but there are a lot of people in the class of 2020 that had worked previously, people that have worked for, you know, a couple decades that were in our cohort. And there's also a lot of people that are coming straight out of undergrad that have all sorts of different degrees, all sorts of different experiences. And that's what's cool to me about the IAA is they put you in teams, I think strategically so, that you're working with people that are not as similar to you as you might think 120 people that all are interested in data science would be. So you get to come in contact with people that are, you know, have all sorts of different experiences and backgrounds from yourself.
Yeah, I think jumping off that point that Jonathan just said, you definitely do get to experience a lot of different people from many different backgrounds. I think Val, you said it a little bit earlier about the practicum teams. They really are crafted with that type of rationale in mind. So on my particular practicum team, we had somebody who came from more of a liberal arts background. We had somebody who had already had experience being a data analyst. We had some people more from math, technical backgrounds and science backgrounds. And we really were able to learn from each other and grow together and produce really good work due to each of us being from a different skill set. So yeah, that's definitely present within the IAA.
I'm gonna jump to a question from Sarah in the chat. And I think, Erin, this is probably especially good for you, but I think a few of you might be able to chime in. So she asks, what was the transition like while having a non-traditional background and pivoting to a different career with this program?
Yeah, for me, the transition was intimidating, but doable. Fortunately, the program values diverse backgrounds. I think each of us has spoken to this already. But no matter your background, you have transferable skills that can be utilized within your teams and throughout the program. And so I attempted to figure out what others needed from me, what unique skills I brought to my team so that I could help others and help us to do our best. So it was intimidating, but doable. And it was because of the support of the faculty and peers. And I'm happy to speak more with you after this. If you do want to reach out on LinkedIn, I can give some more details and tips. But yeah, it's worth it, worth all the fear.
Thank you. Let's see. The next question, this is one for all of you. Jane wants to know, how big are the teams that you're a part of at your employers? Like, are you the only data scientist or analyst on your team, or do you work with other departments in your company? What does that sort of organizational structure look like for each of you?
I can get started on this. So Mind is a really small data science team. And like it's a team of 5. But it's just the way that our company has been structured, so that there is a data science team within each sort of business function within the company. So even though there are other data science teams within the company, ours only looks at a specific part of the business and tries to solve the problems therein. As I mentioned, like there are multiple data scientists on my team, similar to IA with different backgrounds, and then pivoting to data science. And oftentimes we do have to collaborate with other teams and other business functions within the company. Trying to understand their data that we are trying to incorporate in some of our models, or even just getting an overview of the business function and how we can incorporate that into our work. So yeah, that's it from me.
I can share. Our team, the decision sciences group within Fifth Third, contains about 30 data scientists. And that's something I was kind of looking for coming out of the program. Since I had a less technical background, I wanted to be able to see a breadth of application and then move forward from there. So yeah, it's a large group, but we each kind of specialize with different lines of business. So there's a breadth, but also depth depending on the team you're assigned to.
At Pindo, there are about 15 data pros. So that being data engineers, data scientists, and data analysts, which I'm an analyst. And I'm fortunate to work with a lot of IA alums at Pindo, which has been great. The leaders of our team are alums, as well as, people that are even coming out of the class of 2022. But our data scientists and data analysts work very closely together, and we're like grouped into smaller groups to support different areas of the business. So, a data scientist might build a model, and then I, as an analyst, am working with them to help enable other people in our company to use that model, visualize its results, understand what it's doing, and so forth.
And for my team, it's so I'm not necessarily a traditional data scientist or data analyst. I am a solutions engineer for Dataiku, which is like a data science platform. So within my team, there's about 10 of us, and we work as solutions engineers within like the pre-sales process for Dataiku. But there are many IAA alums within the organization. There's about, I think, 12 to 15 of us. So we have a lot of interaction with them. And in terms of like the data science process, I would say we mostly work within ourselves, the solutions engineers, but we also work with another kind of department, which is called the field engineers. And they're a bit more like your data engineers. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you all for that. Another kind of rapid fire question for all of you, and that's from Ngozi. She wants to know, which programming language did you use the most during the program? And I think that's probably going to vary based on what you used for your practicum projects, but I want to hear from each of you.
I used Python most on my practicum project, and R mostly with the coursework. And that was just things I had picked up on some prior experiences, what I felt most comfortable in and what kind of worked well with the data we were presented with.
It was the other way around for me. So our practicum was mostly based on R, but then I was personally trying to ramp my skills up in Python. So I tried to ensure that, any homework assignments or any other sort of coding assignments, I tried to do it in Python. And yeah, like the professors, like they are pretty open to us using the language that we want to, it be SAS, R, or Python. So yeah, that was a good way to get myself ramped up in Python.
And I primarily used SAS for the coursework throughout the program. I liked that it outputs everything you can possibly need when you're building a model, so that I could scroll through all of the results and then pick out the pieces that I needed. That was helpful. For my practicum project, we used Python, but I primarily used SQL within Python. And SQL is a very valuable language, no matter what program you're working within. Or at least it has been for me. People can disagree if you'd like.
Yeah, so I would say similar to Jonathan, within our practicum project, we actually had a mix of Python and R. I mostly used R. And then in the classwork, we mostly did R. But now after the fact from the IAA, I've been going back and like practicing and learning more Python to up my skills in that. So really, I would say either language is valuable, and you'll find both of them once you leave the IAA.
Yeah. And I do want to note some of our alumni are going to need to drop off right around 1 o'clock. So I'm going to fire off one more question for all of them, and the rest of them, if they can stay, great. And if not, that's okay. So Tyler has a question here about sort of the intensities of the different semesters in the program. I want to broaden that out. I'm wondering if each of you could share what you found to be most challenging about your time in the Master of Science and Analytics program. And I also want to hear what was the most fun. So challenge and fun.
I could share. This isn't very specific, but just the coursework in general was all new to me. Everything that was introduced was something I didn't have experience with, which was great. It made every dollar, every minute of studying worth it. But it was incredibly challenging, especially in the fall around this time, actually a couple of years ago, or 2 years ago. It was stressful. There was a lot of personal studying to do, but then I had teamwork or team-based assignments as well to contribute to, and wanted to be studying programming on the side. But it was the teamwork, the team structure that really helped with that. We were able to divide and conquer, be pretty open about what we weren't grasping and get feedback and help to be able to study and perform effectively. So yes, just the coursework in general was a challenge, but that's how it should be. And the team structure helped me to get through it productively and learn a lot.
For me, the most challenging part was the time commitment. So it's a lot more time than for me when I was an undergraduate student. And frankly, it's a lot more time than currently I spend in my day-to-day job. Like, you go 9 to 5 at the IAA, and then you have homework to do, or you need to study for an exam. And so it's a lot of time, but you're at the end of the day, you're saving yourself time because you're squeezing this into 10 months instead of 2-3 years, whatever it might take elsewhere. I think the most kind of like rewarding piece was the teamwork, like being able to, what Erin and others have been saying today, of you get to meet a lot of really great people. You can, I am still in contact with several people that I was on the practicum team with, and we keep up, and we're all working in a similar, career path. So we have things to talk about and things you can jump off each other, and you build a great alumni network. This is my second position out of the IAA, and I found this job through the IAA alumni network. So that's kind of like an invaluable thing that you'll have with you going forward.
Yeah, I think let me start off with, actually, no, I'll start with the bad, so that I'll finish with the good. I would definitely say, I think planning practicum stuff was tough, or like, just planning, not only scheduling meetings, but also, planning the big picture of how you're going to get this project done. So we have practicum team leads, and I was fortunate enough to serve as a team lead, but it also came with a lot of work. But I would say, even in that, the best part about my IAA experience was my practicum team. Like, I absolutely love them, especially getting to do team building activities. That's what we'd call them when we'd like go mini golfing and just hang out. It was really awesome because you would get to know them better as people, and then in turn you would work better as a team because you have a better understanding of who they are and how they work. So I would say, that was definitely my favorite part of the IAA.
I was actually going to say what Chad mentioned at the end. So I'll try to come up with something else that I found really exciting about IA. But like in terms of intensity, I definitely found the fall semester to be pretty intense, more so in terms of time management, because you have your coursework, you have the practicum, you also have your homework. So time management really gets crucial during fall. In terms of like the second most fun, I should say now, is the fact that as an international student, when I came over to the US in summer was relatively light in terms of coursework as compared to fall. So it was really helpful and fun to engage with different classmates and trying to get to know them and going out for fun stuff. So as like I think that experience is really different when like coming from India. So yeah, that was one of the fun parts of IA.
Thank you all for that. Kosi is asking if one of you would mind sharing kind of the structure of your week. Like when you were in the program, were you spending time working on teams kind of all the time? Were you doing stuff with your teams on the evenings and the weekends, or did you kind of try to contain your team time just to your 9 to 5? What did that look like for each of you, or for at least one of you?
I can give that a go. I'm a morning person, so I would usually get to the IAA before class started and like do some homework that I knew I had kind of going on that week by myself. And kind of deciding what your team schedule is going to be is really on the team as a whole. Like whenever you all can decide, people have different things in their lives. There's people that have, family members and children and things and commitments outside of the school that are important and need to be considered when you're coming up with your team schedule. So that becomes involved. There were a handful of times that our team decided that a weekend was the best time that we could meet. For our teams, that was rare throughout the year. And we would keep our things mostly in working hours from 9 to 5. So there's a lot of time, especially as you get into the late fall and early spring, where you're focused more on the practicum and there's less class time. So there are more open hours from 9 to 5 that you can spend at the institute to get things done.
Thanks, Jonathan. I think that's a good summary. It is up to the individual teams to kind of determine what works best for them. Okay, let's see, another question here from Manisha. Can you suggest any tips or tricks for international students in particular for success in the program in terms of, kind of adapting and getting on track quickly? So Keyur, that one's going to be for you.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I remember like having the same question when I was at this stage of applying for IA. I would say that as I would just repeat what I said to my earlier answer. So the summer semester, it's sort of a ramp up to what's going to come in fall and spring, but it's not as intense. So it really helps build the basic skill set that is expected during fall and spring, which is statistics, a bit of programming, the primer and stuff. So luckily for me, I did have a statistics background, so that part was taken care of before I came to the US. But I would say that accounting for the cultural differences and difference in the way how things are done here, I think summer is a really good time to get yourself acquainted with the culture, especially because during fall and spring you would barely have any time to give more time to stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, this is a very general overview. If you're looking for anything specific or in depth with regards to international student experience, I would say like feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to speak more in depth about that.
Thanks so much, Keyur. Marta asked if any of the alumni worked during the program, and I'm going to go ahead and just sort of address that. So we really deeply discourage students from attempting to try to work at all during the program. As you've heard these folks mention, it's a 40 hours a week minimum commitment, and typically more like 60 hours a week. And if you are trying to hold down any kind of a job while you're doing that, it's going to come to light very quickly, and it's probably going to make your teammates rather upset because you won't be available to meet, and will cause a backlog in work for your teams. So most of our students really do, in terms of how they kind of fund themselves during this program, they'll have some student loans, maybe use some personal savings, and that's generally how they kind of make their way through the program. And then of course they're able to recomp that pretty readily after they graduate in terms of the salaries that they're earning. Sarah asks, for alumni, did your career goals change from before the program to during or after? I love this question. This is really good. Who wants to take this one?
Frankly, I didn't really know what I wanted to get into when I started at the IAA, and went in with kind of an open mind of let's kind of see what's out there and see what kind of opportunities present themselves through this experience. And while I was there, I did realize I wanted to work in kind of the tech space. I think the data is interesting, and usually the size of the data is pretty interesting. Working in kind of like the web analytics or software space, we gather a lot of data. Pretty much anything that anyone's doing on your website or in your application, they're tracking you, and someone's looking at that data. So that became really interesting to me. And that's where I find myself now.
Yeah, that's great. I didn't have a specific outcome I was focused on, but I did know that I wanted to use data to do something good. And I was surprised to learn that there's so many different ways to do that. Currently, I work in marketing analytics, but on the side within our organization, I'm able to help a nonprofit by working with their data and providing insights that they wouldn't otherwise have found. And so I learned to value just open-mindedness and engagement, and just learning how to learn, as was mentioned earlier, to be ready to help with opportunities that arise. So I did not see myself working for a bank upon graduation, but I'm happy to say that I still feel like I'm doing good with the data that I'm able to work with. So there are lots of opportunities in the field of data science.
As for me, I think like the career goal specifically did not change. I wanted to be in the data field. But what helped me the most during IAA is opening up a lot of different areas within data science. Can use my skills. There's data visualization, model building, model deployment. Before coming to the IAA, I had a very specific role back in India. But after the skills that I got from IAA, I think I've become more open to the different parts of data science paradigm that your job demands for.
Excellent. Thank you all for that. Do we have any other questions for our alumni in particular while we have them on the line? I see a bunch of questions in the chat that are more kind of admission specific, but all right, well, thank you so much. Can we get a round of applause? You can use your little reactions button in Zoom if you want for our alumni. We very much appreciate all of you sharing your insights and your experiences with us. I think it's really valuable to hear from people who've lived this program firsthand. So